The Bible is an incredible collection of literature written over the course of a couple thousand years. As followers of Jesus, we believe it to be inspired by God and authoritative for our lives. Yet, let's be honest, it gets pretty weird. There are plenty of things I read that cause me to pause and go, wait, what did that just say? Or even, wait, why is this even in here? But here's what I've come to appreciate over the years. Old is strange has significance. And when you read weird things, it should make you wonder what's going on, not worry that you've staked your life on the line. It should spark a curiosity to go deeper and explore what's really being communicated. So every month, I plan to help you do just that. We're going to take one weird passage of scripture and attempt to unpack it as best as we can. And today, we're talking about fools. If you ever opened the book of Proverbs and thought, that's helpful, but that's also confusing, congratulations, you're reading it correctly. Proverbs 26 is an interesting passage as it seems to contradict itself, and not subtly, boldly. It reads, "Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him yourself. And then answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes." So, which one is it? Do we answer the fool or do we not answer the fool? Because the Bible gives us both options, one right after the other, without even a paragraph break. No explanation, no footnote, no, just good luck. Now, before we untangle the contradiction, we need to talk about what Proverbs are and what they aren't. Proverbs are a type of wisdom literature, and what you need to know about Proverbs is that they are wise advice, not guaranteed outcomes. They describe how life generally works, not how it always works. They're not promises you can mechanically apply to force a result. A proverb isn't saying, do this and God is contractually obligated to give you this outcome. It's saying, this is how the world usually works. That's why Proverbs can feel messy. Life is messy. Proverbs tend to respect the complexity of life, and nowhere is that more obvious than in Proverbs 26. And so let's put the two verses side by side. Verse 4, don't answer a fool according to his folly. Verse 5, answer a fool according to his folly. At first glance, this looks like Solomon forgot what he just wrote, or at the very least shouldn't carry the title of wisest man who ever lived. Now, many interpreters have said the solution is situational wisdom. Sometimes you answer the fool, sometimes you stay silent. And honestly, that's not wrong. Wisdom does involve knowing when to speak and when to stay quiet. But here's the problem with that explanation. As scholar Michael Fox points out, nothing in the verses themselves tells you when to do which. There's no scenario given, no timing cues, no in this case. If the point is simply use your judgment, the proverb isn't actually helping you very much, which suggests something deeper is going on. And that something hinges on a tiny Hebrew word. Both verses use the same Hebrew preposition, ki, K-E, usually translated according to. But here's the twist. The word doesn't have to mean the same thing both times. And when you allow it to flex, when you let Hebrew poetry do what Hebrew poetry does, the contradiction disappears. Here's what the verses are really saying. Verse 4, do not answer a fool with behavior similar to his folly, or you'll become just like him. In other words, don't match sarcasm with sarcasm, don't fight insults with insults, don't lower yourself to the fool's level. When you trade foolish words for foolish words, you don't win, you just multiply foolishness. As the classic saying goes, don't argue with a fool, he'll just drag you to his level and beat you with experience. And here's what verse 5 is actually saying. Answer a fool with an answer appropriate to his particular folly, so he doesn't become wise in his own eyes. Now, this is different. This doesn't mean, clap back, roast him, win the argument. What it means is that we respond wisely, that we expose the foolish logic, that we speak truth without becoming foolish ourselves. Sometimes silence confirms folly. Sometimes wisdom needs to speak calmly, clearly, and without venom. Or as Bruce Waltke puts it, the wise must show the fool's folly for what it is without lowering themselves to the fool's level. What looks like a contradiction is actually a memory device. Hebrew poetry often leaves comparisons slightly open-ended so that the reader has to engage the analogy. It forces reflection instead of automation. The takeaway isn't always answer or never answer. The takeaway is always respond wisely, never foolishly. Or put simply, always answer a fool, but never become one in the process. Both proverbs are true, both are always applicable, and together they teach restraint and courage. Look, we live in an age of comment section, social media debates, and hot takes galore. Proverbs 26 feels painfully relevant, doesn't it? It reminds us, though, that not every foolish statement deserves engagement, but some foolish ideas must be challenged. And wisdom is measured not just by what we say, but by how we say it. Or as one biblical commentator beautifully prayed, "Oh, for wisdom to govern the tongue, to know the right time to speak and the right time to stay silent." Well, friends, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time as we continue to explore weird Bible passages.